Hello, this is Jeff, Director of Pro Governance Intelligence. I've created a presentation to provide you with some valuable insight that may assist some fire services organisations with governance information in the Australian legislative environment. Please let me take you on a little journey that will take about 10 minutes to explain my theories and methodologies to improve your organisation's service delivery and risk mitigation processes. As you may be aware, there are numerous and differing acts and regulations in Australia that legislate mandatory requirements on how fire services and measures must be routinely serviced and certified. In fact, there's 27 acts and regulations that govern this part of our industry. Most importantly, getting annual certification right to achieve community safety expectations in accordance with the law is paramount in this process to ensure the client and your risks are mitigated. Comparing requirements for enforcement internationally, our national legislative environment relating to fire services and measures and building control is a jigsaw. In particular, for those organisations servicing clients with national commercial property portfolios. We have a consistent national construction code and Australian standards that specify how to routinely service systems and measures, together with fire safety auditing and risk assessment standards. Problematically, our state and territory jurisdictions legislate inconsistently in terms of terminology and mandatory requirements for annual certification reporting. This is a major disruptor in the literal sense to our industry. To achieve compliance, there are a number of documents and factors to consider. The most important step in the process of mapping out methodology is translation of state laws and terminologies. Definition of translation in this scenario is one-to-one correspondence between two or more sets of points. Example for this translation matrix for safety measures is to translate safety measures terminology from the Australian standards and integrate that with safety measures terminology of state government statutory documentation. At the end of the day, we hope to achieve a landing point, which must be certification reporting using correct terminology and matching performance requirements mandated by state legislation. This is not something that can be achieved with a tick and flick chart. It's something that requires some intelligence that needs to be integrated into your systems. This slide is an example of why two streams are required to create a matrix of translation. As you can see, there are three streams of terminology for basically the same safety measure. As you can see, New South Wales, Victoria and Australian standards all use different terminologies. The consistent terminology is the Australian standard terminology of AS 1851-212. The two disruptor terminologies are New South Wales and Victoria in this case. The performance requirements of the National Construction Code are fairly consistent, but there are also some discrepancies between the statutory requirement and the National Construction Code requirement. This is another case of where intelligence needs to be built into your systems to ensure that correct performance requirements are applied to your certifications. Again, tick and flick doesn't cut it. This slide outlines the fundamental methodology of my theory of two streams of reporting: the occupancy stream and the reporting stream. Occupancy stream starts with the asset data capture and direct application of Australian standards to its design. Below, the reporting stream starts with the building occupancy approval documentation. The translation is required at this point between Australian standard terminologies and the state approval documentation, which may apply differing performance requirements outside of the National Construction Code in accordance with, say, fire engineering reports and so forth. The yearly condition survey reports should be reflected in the format of the state building occupancy approval documentation at this point. This leads us to a fairly simple translation eventually into the annual certification reports for each state. New South Wales, Annual Fire Safety Statement; Victoria, Annual Essential Safety Measures Report; Queensland, Occupiers Statement; South Australia, Form 3, etc., etc. The next series of slides outlines the intent of all state legislation, National Construction Code and Australian standards relating to fire systems and measures. Some may say, what's in a word or a name? In fact, incorrect terminology in statutory documentation may make your organisation liable in today's litigious society. Over the next several slides, let me summarise what is the intent of all state legislation, National Construction Code and Australian standards to assist you with risk mitigation and understanding of the intent of these documents. Are you looking for a way forward prior to the eventual harmonisation of our industry? With my assistance, you will be able to achieve and simplify processes and turbocharge the provision of routine servicing to national portfolios to achieve a clear point of difference for your organisation. Automation of annual certification and condition reporting obligations through integration of a simple and uploadable effective data matrix to your organisation's established systems is quite achievable. Contact Pro Governance Intelligence if your organisation needs assistance with translation of state requirements to national standards. Also, if you require workflow development to reduce duplicate effort and inconsistent outputs from service delivery systems. Pro Governance Intelligence can assist your organisation with enhancement of existing service delivery systems, incorporation of ISO 31000 risk analysis, analysis of jurisdiction requirements, and customised routine servicing programs.